A gentleman called Mikhail Jernokleev contacted Alexander Kaltepin to tell him that there is some sort of strange historic site on the shores of Antalya in Turkey that nobody seems to be interested in. Indeed, when Kaltepin arrived, there was some sort of site partially submerged, and so it got its name, the Jernokleev Site. But it didn't look particularly exciting because it was somehow medieval. Or at least that would be the first impression one usually gets looking at the walls. Undressed stone with mortar in between is a typical technique used by the medieval people. But then what caught Kaltepin's attention was that it wasn't actually stones mixed with the mortar. These were volcanic bombs. When a volcano becomes active, the stuff that it spits out in the air, the solid stuff, it turns into what is called in geology a volcanic bomb. They could either sometimes look like bread loaves with crust all around, or they can have a funny hairstyle like this one when they cool down in the air while they fly. And the Jernokleev site is made exactly of such volcanic bombs. Now the funny thing is that they are not found anywhere in the area, nor there is any volcano in the area at all. When he checked the geological maps of the region, turned out that there are no active volcanoes, nor there are any traces of volcanoes that existed here in the relatively recent geological past. But he found that in extremely ancient layers there was an abundance of such bread loaves/volcanic bombs. That means that it was many thousands, if not millions of years ago, when this building material was available actually. And layers rich in such bombs were available in the area, and yes, they were extremely old layers. But that was not the end of the mysteries. It turned out that from what it looked like natural basalt bedrock, actually armatures were sticking out. So that's cast as well, it's not natural basalt rock. But what was even more surprising was that this armature was much harder than one would expect from a rotten piece of modern armature. But eventually Kaltepin managed to take a small sample for testing, and later on, when he did the tests, it turned out that this was a galvanized steel with a chemical composition radically different from the modern steels, and as usual, the older recipe is better. The older steel is much stronger, harder, and obviously lasts much longer. Not to even mention that the process of galvanization of steel was supposedly discovered very recently. According to official historians, at least, although galvanized steel objects appear here and there actually throughout history. So all this that looks like bedrock with some sort of cuttings in it is actually cast out of geopolymer. Apparently they had a number of different mixtures used in this site alone. One of them resembles basalt and the other one is pinkish something that is actually quite unusual by itself. And then on the top of everything there were pieces of ceramics, broken pots or not sure what, but they were found within what looked like a basalt rock. Were they part of the mixture when they were making the geopolymer, or were they there when the rock got naturally formed? Well, in both cases, these are extremely ancient layers and they prove intelligent presence of humans in the very extreme antiquity. This would be at least many thousands of years ago, if not a couple of millions. If we assume that the official dating of these geological layers is correct, then this site could be even as much as 5 million years old. I personally am not a believer in this mainstream geological dating, but even to me, it will give some hint that this is extremely, extremely old.